There's a solar eclipse crossing the United States in 2024 that will blow your mind. Millions of people will be able to don protective glasses and view a spectacular total solar eclipse on April 8th, 2024, starting around 1 p.m. CT. If this sounds familiar, it's because in 2017, a 70-mile wide band of the US saw a total solar eclipse, while many other areas saw a partial eclipse. People drove across states and gathered near planetariums just to see those fleeting minutes when in the middle of the day the sky went dark. But the total eclipse coming in April will be even cooler. Exciting NASA scientists told reporters at the American Geophysical Union meeting. Those of us who've seen eclipses know what you want to see, that you want to see your next one. Kelly Korrick, NASA's program manager for 2024 solar eclipse, said during a roundtable at the meeting. She added that having one in such recent memory likely has many people excited for this year's. While total solar eclipses aren't exactly rare, there are a few circumstances around this upcoming event that make it unique, from its path across the US to an abundance of solar activity to a plethora of scientific projects that NASA and others have planned for the few minutes when the moon will seem to cover the sun. Over 30 million people will be able to see the total solar eclipse. There are three types of solar eclipses. One, an annual eclipse appearing as a bright ring around the moon, and that's the annular eclipse. Number two, a partial eclipse, only partly blocks the sun. Number three, a total eclipse, the moon seems to cover the sun entirely. In 2017, the continental United States had its first coast-to-coast total eclipse since 1918. Portions of 14 states were in the path, but populated cities like Atlanta and Charlotte, North Carolina, were not. This year, more people will be able to see the eclipse without having to travel. The path spreads from Mexico to northeastern Canada. This is going to be the most populated eclipse in the US, with 31.5 million people able to just walk outside of their homes and experience this event, Korrick said. Dallas, Cleveland, and Indianapolis are all positioned for prime total eclipse viewing. The eclipse will last slightly longer than the last one did. Depending on your location, you'll have about 3 to 4 minutes to watch the moon blot out the sun. That peak of the eclipse, called totality, will last slightly longer than the one in 2017 did, Korrick said. U.S. residents who miss this year's eclipse will have to wait another couple of decades for a similar event. The next total solar eclipses visible in the contiguous U.S. will be in 2044 and 2045, but neither will cut through Cleveland or Indianapolis. Korrick said, "You're not going to get another eclipse for quite a while." An active sun should make for incredible viewing. In 2017, the sun was fairly quiet during the eclipse. As it approaches its solar maximum, it's been spitting out solar flares. Korrick hopes to see a coronal mass ejection during the eclipse. CMEs are high-speed blobs of plasma that erupt out of the sun's corona, or outer layer. You would see that kind of inky mass just leave the sun at that point in time, Korrick said, so it would be pretty spectacular. If that happens, Korrick said, there should be increased aurora borealis activity, that's northern lights, a few days later. Even if there's no CME, the images could be more dynamic than in 2017, with more wisp-like prominences radiating from the sun. It should be very complex-looking sun, Korrick said. Balloons, rockets, and citizen scientists will be tracking the eclipse. There's a reason solar eclipses are a big deal in the scientific community. They provide you with the opportunity to do experiments that you cannot do otherwise. Noor Raoufi, an astrophysicist with Johns Hopkins University, said during the roundtable. An eclipse in 1919 proved Albert Einstein's theory of relativity, he said. That's because NASA and other institutions will be using radar, balloons, spacecraft, and jets to perform experiments and gather data during the eclipse. NASA is interested in tracking changes to density, wind speed, and temperatures at the ionosphere, part of the Earth's upper atmosphere, during the event. Unlike the 2017 eclipse, there are now 2 sun-scrutinizing spacecraft circling our star. It's an opportunity NASA has never had before to monitor the sun up close from 2 different space observatories while instruments here on Earth study the eclipse. And that should give scientists more comprehensive eclipse data than they've ever had. There are tons of citizen scientist projects taking place too. NASA is hoping people will use their ham radios, telescopes, cameras, and phones to record images, sounds, and observations during the eclipse. And this is published by Business Insider Jenny McGrath and Morgan McFall Johnson on Science Alert. And I was lucky enough to witness a total eclipse of the sun back in Athens, Greece in 1999. That happened, it took place over Istanbul of Turkey and over Athens in this Mediterranean area. 3 weeks later, we had a massive earthquake in Istanbul, a deadly earthquake, and 3 weeks, no, not 3 weeks, about 3 days after that. And 3 weeks later, we had a 7 magnitude earthquake in Athens, Greece. And that probably goes hand in hand with what the ancients used to believe. They were afraid of total eclipses of the sun because it was like a bad omen of destruction coming. So it could have been because they were afraid of earthquakes. So it could have been that that's what caused the Turkey earthquake and the Athens earthquake. I don't know. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.